Well, hello there, Martin. Can you hear me? There he is. I hear you.
Yep. All good. Oh, nice t-shirt.
Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks, mate. Had to do it. Brand new record out.
I've got a better one though.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, it was funny. Oh, hell yeah. One of the greatest records of all time. Right before I started the Zoom here, I was just listening to your latest record, The Set the Controls for the Heart of the Sun. And like, that's the coolest thing I've ever heard.
Oh, thanks.
So cool. But right here, right now, checking in from Hobart, Tasmania. Is that correct?
Yeah, and it's just gone cold. We've had some beautiful mild weather and a storm has just rolled in, but it's still beautiful down here. So yeah.
All right. Never been. The sun is setting here in Buffalo, New York on this beautiful May weekend. And gosh, I have Martin Kennedy here from All India Radio, electronic ambient band. Am I describing your band well there? Electronic ambient?
Yeah, better than I. Whenever anyone asks me how to describe it, I don't know. So you've done well.
All right. Awesome. Well, hey, thanks so much, man. And thanks for joining me on I Ask No One on the 1-year anniversary of my little.
Thanks for having me.
Oh man, it's just an absolute pleasure, and cheers to you, and much success this year.
Coffee.
Future sponsor.
I remember drinking that stuff when I was a teenager. It was very nice.
It is nice. It's got 56 spices in it, by the way. I don't know if you knew that. There you go.
I would go as far as to say it's almost healthy.
Yum. But yeah, man, congratulations on the brand new record, Afterworld, by All India Radio, released April the 28th. And this is your 26th studio record. Is that correct?
It's actually more than that. I tried counting them up the other day, and I got to over 30. But then I've released lots of little compilations and collections, so I guess I was including those. If it's just studio albums, I think it is about 20 or 26, something like that. So yeah, it's a lot anyway.
Your catalog is, we'll get to that, but it really means a lot to me. At the top of every episode, though, I like to start with the musical fact of the day. So here in the US right now, it is May the 2nd. Actually, May the 2nd is a special day, not only because it's the 1st-year anniversary of my own little podcast and release where I get to connect with people that I admire, heroes of mine, such as yourself. But my twin brother lives in Athens, Greece. We were supposed to be born on May the 2nd, and we were 2-month preemie in March. So little fun fact for you there. But the Beatles, they recorded a song called Something off the Abbey Road record in 1969, and it took them 36 takes in the studio to get that song down, which is wild. And have you ever recorded a song, Martin, in one take, and it was just like, all right, that's it?
Yeah, I tried to do that all the time. I don't have the patience to do multiple takes. So if it sounds good enough to me, and I'm happy with it, then that's it. That's the take.
Okay.
But I mean, the Beatles were the Beatles, of course, and they're going to do that, aren't they?
Right. Enough said.
Yeah.
You know who was a one-take guy was Lou Reed, especially when he worked with Metallica. One cut, gone. That's it.
Yeah.
But on that same day, in May the 2nd, in 1969, just up the street there at the Manchester Chamber of Commerce, we were just talking about Pink Floyd. Pink Floyd recorded a live show, performed there at the Chamber of Commerce in Manchester. Ummagumma has a live record with it, and that's probably my favorite Pink Floyd live record. If you've ever listened to it, Astronomy Domine, Set the Controls. Oh gosh, the one where Roger Waters screams bloody hell.
Careful with that axe, Eugene.
That's it. Yeah. Have you ever listened to that one, Martin?
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, I've been listening to that one for decades. Yeah. I got into them at a really young age, and it was pretty freaky music for a young person to be into. But that's how I grew to love them, really.
Right, right. Yeah, the Floyd, the almighty Pink Floyd, man. And I wanted to get to that in a second, but the quote of the day is actually coming from you. And you were interviewed, I think this is from a 2009 interview, Martin, and you said,
Oh,
in describing the sound of all India radio, you know, your baby, is every listen will make you feel like today won't be so bad after all.
did I say that? That's rather smart and profound. Well, if you say I said it, then good.
Yes, it is a
good advice.
beautiful quote. Absolutely agree. Your music has got me through a lot, and I actually discovered you through my mother's Pandora in her kitchen, my parents' kitchen, in the
Pandora.
house I was raised in. In 2014, I came home from San Diego. I lived in San Diego for 2 years, and then lived in LA for another 2 years back then. And you know the Shazam app. You ever use the Shazam app where you hear a song?
I haven't used it, but I do have it on my phone, but I've just never used it.
Okay. Yeah, I hit Shazam. It was a song off your Permanent Evolutions record. It may have been LoFi
Yeah.
Groovy or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And I get the chills telling you this, man. That record, I have not listened. It's been my dark side of the moon. I haven't listened to a record more since 2014 than that record and your band. And hey, you know, I was diagnosed with depression in 2016. I'm definitely out of the woods there with the decisions that I've made, including starting this podcast. And your music has really got me through a lot in that respect. And it's really calmed my mind down. So thank you.
Oh, well, thank you. It's funny, that album was such, it was to me, it was a throwaway album. It was a bunch of old songs. I just
No way, really?
Yeah, threw on a CD. And for some reason it took off on Pandora. And so that song, LoFi Groovy, is just my biggest, well, I say selling, biggest streamed song.
That's your
ever.
hit. That's your greatest hit. Huh?
That's my hit. It's been downhill since then. But yeah, I'm really glad to hear that, and I'm glad you like it, and it makes me think maybe I should release that on vinyl one day.
Yeah, vinyl is definitely on the up and up these days. It looks like you have, is that vinyl back there that I see, or?
Yeah, I'm sorry, but it's such a mess. Their orders going out because I've just finished a huge mail out for my new album, so they're sort of the last to go out.
Wow.
And over there is boxes of CDs that I released years ago, but have been returned, unsold CDs from the distributor. So I've got to figure out a way to sell them.
Yeah. Hey, my address is 544, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. But, you know, I get my CD, and that's really cool. You package them up yourself and you send them yourself. That's
yeah, it's a one-man operation. It's a lot of work, but it's satisfying.
Love it. Here right now on I Ask No One on the 1-year anniversary of the podcast. And we have Martin Kennedy from All India Radio based out of Hobart, Tasmania. 26 plus records in. The music's been featured on CSI Miami, One Tree Hill, and in Bondi Rescue. So I spent a little time in Bondi Beach. You've been there, I assume?
Been there a few times. It's not always that pleasant because in summertime it's so, well, the last couple of summers it hasn't been, but it's usually jam-packed with people, and you can hardly move. It's a huge tourist destination. So, I mean, if you're a young person like yourself, it's got a really nice vibe and great atmosphere, but it just gets so busy. It's a pretty full-on sort of place. But it's quintessentially Australian, you know, summer, beach, surfing, swimming, drowning, sharks, the whole thing.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I spent some time in PB in San Diego, and I really felt I was back in PB there, just with the sights, and I had a kangaroo burger there for my first time, and I stayed at a hostel and no sleep, and Bondi Beach. But let's see. Yeah, my little brother Leonard, he used to work in Sydney, and then he worked
Mm.
up in Cairns, up in the reef there in the wine
Oh,
business.
right. Mm.
And he unfortunately at age 26 found out he had to have both of his hips replaced, so he moved back home. And I had a trip booked out to go visit him, so I just moved forward with it. Took the
Mm.
Jeep route there. I had a 10-hour layover in Beijing and went
Oh
down.
boy, yeah, that's a long trip.
It was yeah, about 40 hours total flying. But the Jenolan caves
Oh.
were absolutely stunning, and the Blue Mountains. I took a trip out there, which they have 15% of the world's gum tree and eucalyptus
Mm.
population.
Yeah,
Ever been there, the Blue
beautiful.
Mountains?
I haven't been there, but of course you fly into, or you fly over the Blue Mountains coming into Sydney from down here south, and yeah, it looks beautiful. But and of course I've seen the videos and the pictures, but no, never been there myself.
Okay.
Just to Sydney, the city itself.
Yeah, Blue Mountains, absolutely recommend it. And the Jenolan Caves, you ever been there before?
No,
Oh,
no, I
okay.
don't know, where are they? I
Yeah,
should know, but
yeah, it was about 3 hours west of Sydney. Took a bus
okay.
out there and gosh, saw some eastern gray kangaroos on the
Oh
side
yeah.
of the road
Mm,
there, and
mm.
um, 3.5 million year old caves. And I think,
Wow.
yeah, the Blue Mountains are great too. But All India Radio, where'd you get the band name, man?
Oh, well, it was probably in the mid 90s. I was in an indie rock band in the 90s, and our singer liked to travel a lot, and he went to India for a big long trip. And he took a little tape recorder with him to record sounds, radio sounds and street sounds and things like that, environmental sounds. And he brought the tape back and gave it to me. And I could hear this someone talking on the radio, and they're saying All India Radio, All India Radio. And of course it's India's national broadcaster. So a couple of years later, when that band broke up, I started All India Radio. I didn't have a name. I listened to that old tape and thought, oh, that sounds like a pretty good name for a band, All India Radio. So that's how it came about, really. And I've been inundated over the years from curious people from India wondering why on earth I'm calling a band after their national radio station.
But you just heard it in like muffled All India Radio, All India Radio. And
Yeah, it was a radio announcer. Of course, it was spoken in Hindi, but when they said the station name, it was All India Radio. That part was English. So yeah, I just stole it from them.
Gotcha. And this was what, 98, 99, mid to late 90s?
When I started the band, yeah. Late 87 into 98, I'd say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. All right.
That's a long time, isn't it? Wow.
And it's just been a one-man gig, and shit,
Yeah.
all these years later, what still excites you about creating this beautiful ethereal music that really tells a story?
What excites me? Kind of, to be honest, not much externally. It's all an inner landscape thing for me. I just have a burning drive to keep creating music. It's hard to put into words. I always think that I'm washed out and burnt out, especially after finishing an album, which I'm kind of in that vibe right now. But the inspiration always comes back. So I don't worry about it too much. And there's always something going on. So yeah, look, it's hard to put into words. I just have a burning passion to keep creating music. That's it, really.
When I lived in LA, I was at Gold's Gym a lot in Venice Beach, and there was a shirt that one of the girls in there was wearing. There were a lot of funny shirts that people would wear to the gym in the gym. And there was one, there used to be a Nintendo game called Skate or Die. And in the font, they, instead of saying skate, it said create or die.
Yeah.
I think,
Well, that's it. That's it, really.
yeah.
I can't do anything else. I'm good at doing this. Don't earn much money from it. my dear wife has got the real job, so I can just keep creating music to my heart's content.
And when you're creating music, are you sitting in that very seat? Do you have a
Yeah.
Oh, are you? Okay.
Yeah, usually. When I create music, I'm not ready to start a new album yet, but when I do, everything around me will change. I like to change the setup. It's a complete mess at the moment. But when I'm ready to start another album, everything will be cleared away. And it's like clearing out the junk in my head. And I rearrange my desk and my instruments. And it's like a fresh start. It's just a funny little habit that I do. I completely recreate the studio, and then I start the new album.
Wow. So when you're creating, when you're writing, that place in your head, when you have your blank room, you get your blank slate.
I have a blank brain as well, and that's kind of half the idea. If clutter, I can't think straight if everything's cluttered up.
Sure.
So decluttering my studio is decluttering my head, and that allows me to create again. Yeah, something like that.
Do you light any incense? Do you light any candles? What are you drinking, like coffee or water when you're doing this?
No. Usually I'll start working early-ish in the morning. So I won't be drinking. I'll have coffee. Oh, well, around this time right now here in Hobart, it's just after 10 a.m. So for me, yeah, that's early.
Okay.
As far as writing music goes.
Gotcha.
So I'll have coffee, and I'll just sit here and I'll twiddle away on the instruments, and I'll just play something and just see what comes to me. Actually, I'll come into this space with a few ideas that I've either written down on paper or just sitting in my head waiting, and then it's almost like doing a painting, an oil painting. You start by throwing some paint on the canvas, and then you shift it around until something starts to take shape. And then if it's good, I'll put more detail on. If it's not, I'll just wipe it clean and start again.
Yeah, that's great.
I'm making it sound more complicated than it is, but
thank you so
much. That's kind of the way it happens for me.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing that. This new record, man, Afterworld, came out a few days ago. Of course, I have my CD coming, and this is the artwork right here.
I'm glad that arrived on time.
Yeah, me too. Me too. And this artwork, I will say, I think a big decision why I choose a particular CD to listen to more than others is sometimes the artwork. And this artwork, I will say that is one of my all-time favorite album artworks I've ever seen. And one of my all-time favorite movies is Fellowship of the Ring, Lord of the Rings. And just, I feel like I'm looking at like the Misty Mountains or Lothlorien or something like that. Where did you create this or
No. I found it surfing the internet. I mean, I was aware of the artist, Gilbert Williams. He was a pioneer of a movement in the 70s called visionary art. And it kind of came out of the hippie movement, and then it sort of segued into the new age music movement. But it was that kind of misty stuff and stars and later wizards and fairies and UFOs and things like that. But that particular one really stood out. And so I came across it on the internet, and I thought I'd approach him. To be honest, I didn't know whether he was even still alive, but of course he is. And I contacted him through his daughter, and she said, yeah, look, he'd be very happy to use it, just a very small fee for independent artists.
Yeah.
very, very fantastic. And then they sent me the artwork, and it went from there. But I had a lot of trouble deciding on the artwork for this album because the visuals is so important for me. The visuals have to match the music somehow, even if it's just in my own head. I love finding albums that have got incredible artwork and also incredible music. And I'm so disappointed when I listen to an album with the most fantastic artwork and then it's just horrible.
Yeah.
So for me, music and visual has to go together.
What are some of your favorite album artworks when you talk about, bridging the artwork and the music as one?
Yeah. Well, this kind of works against what I've said, but that is just an incredible piece of art, Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon.
Yes, it is.
And I guess looking at that, you wouldn't really be able to guess what sort of music it is. But, Pink Floyd is Pink Floyd, and that really works. This is a visual medium, so I thought I'd show you some. This is DJ Shadow introducing, and it's just a photo of some guys in a record store. But I find myself looking at this just constantly while listening to the album, and it's absolutely fascinated me for the last 20 years, this cover. And again, it somehow matches the music. And of course, that to me is that is everything. That's the style of music, the period, the late 70s, Berlin, kind of electronic music, and that look. So they're just a couple of my favorites. There's loads more, of course, but yeah, music and images have to work together, I think.
Yes, I agree. So DJ Shadow, I've never heard of him. I will check him out.
Yeah, it's kind of well, that album, Introducing with an E, Ent, it's instrumental. I don't want to say hip hop. It is kind of instrumental hip hop, but really melodic and moody. And I've admired him since that album, really. Not so much his latest stuff, but that album is a classic.
Well, you could bet that I'll be looking that up. Am I losing you here? Do you see me?
I can see you, but you're frozen. I can hear you perfectly, though.
All right. We'll just see what happens here. But Heroes by David Bowie, the Hollywood Vampires featuring Joe Perry, Alice Cooper, and Johnny Depp actually did a really cool cover of Heroes. I assume you love the song, right? I mean, that's a badass.
Oh, I love the song. Yeah, I think it's one of the most covered songs there is. Even my old indie rock band, we did a cover of that. And,
really?
Yeah, we played a little gig in Melbourne, Australia, and there's a UK band called Ride. They were one of the big shoegaze bands of the early 90s, and they were playing a show the same night, and also in Melbourne. And of course, there was hardly anyone at our show. Are you still there? Because you've completely disappeared. Oh, there you are.
I'm just fooling around here. I'm gonna see if my camera could work. Just a sec there, Martin. There we go.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we did a cover of Bowie's Heroes, and apparently this other big band who had stolen all our audience did a cover of Heroes as well. Anyway, that's not a very interesting story.
My dad, he played me that song a few years back. Actually, I never heard it, and it's really funny you bring up Bowie because these guests that I have on IANO and the people I admire so much, David Bowie always gets brought up, which is really ironic. But Pink Floyd, man, how have they influenced your sound and the way you approach your project?
Immeasurably. I first heard Pink Floyd when I was a kid, and my older brother or brothers, they must have bought Dark Side of the Moon close to when it first came out in 73 or 74. So I grew up listening or hearing this music coming from their bedrooms, and and they had the album comes with posters. There's the big poster of the pyramids, and also a poster of the band themselves, and that was on their bedroom wall. So I was just this little kid listening to this music and looking at these amazing posters. So I've been fascinated ever since then. So they've kind of they've been burnt into my brain as I was growing up, and they were the first records I bought were Pink Floyd records. When I earned enough money to buy records.
Yeah.
So yeah, huge influence. Not that. Well, some of my songs are directly influenced by them. Some others, or most of it isn't. But I just love them.
Yes, amen, man. Set the Controls for the Heart of the Sun off their Saucer Bowl Secrets record. You covered that song in your latest record, Afterworld, and I shared that immediately with my twin brother. By the way, Ryan says hello. Ryan says hello.
Hi, Ryan. Okay. I was wondering if you'd prank me and put him on, and because you're identical, is that right?
We are identical. There's actually 5 members of twins in our family, and we're the identical.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, my girlfriend
would be fun growing up, or not fun.
Oh, dude, the stories, and we have plenty more in our system, man. But the set the Control for the Heart of the Sun.
Yeah.
What a fucking sick cover, man. It is so cool.
Thanks.
Yeah, if I haven't said it yet, I like it. Pink Floyd Echoes. That's actually, if I need help going to sleep, I put Echoes on, and I magically, drift off.
Transported.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Is there how about when you go to sleep? Do you sleep in silence, Martin? Or
no, I used to listen to music as a teenager into my 20s. I had trouble going to sleep, so I would listen to music, and that would be Brian Eno or Jean-Michel Jarre on the ambient side of things. Now I listen to audiobooks about space and the cosmos and the universe and things like that, and that just sends me off into wonderland and sleep.
That's exactly what your music does, my man. And just to go back to a quote, just to go back to the earlier in the episode, the quote, every listen will make you feel like today won't be so bad after all. And sometimes every listen will take me and your listeners just off into space. I tell you, man, speaking of space, your record Space is one of my most listened to. When I was in quarantine, I'm in the real estate business. So real estate was turned off for a little bit there. And I would just play all India radio, man. And I would listen to Space.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I would listen to Space, and I think it's your voice at the beginning of one of those tracks where it's like I'm in a rocket ship and your voice is coming through a PA. I don't know if you were going for that, but your voice coming through, welcome to Pleasure Island or something.
Oh, that one, yeah.
Yeah, and
that wasn't me. That was Steve Kilbey, who I've worked with. I don't know if you know who Steve Kilbey is.
I do not. No.
An Australian band called The Church. I encourage you to look them up. They've been going since the late 70s. Psychedelic, really fantastic music.
Sure.
And I've been lucky to work with him a lot. And we just released an album recently, actually. But
what's that record called? What's
the latest one with Steve is called Jupiter 13.
Okay.
If I got a copy, I haven't got a copy to hand, but to show you. But
Jupiter 13. All right.
Jupiter 13 by Kilbey Kennedy.
All right, nice. And just speaking of the quarantine, man, I was keeping tabs on what a lot of my favorite musicians were doing, and one of those guys included Devin Townsend, who is one of my favorite people, musicians. He's hilarious as shit. I think he, man, he opened up for Gojira once, and I think the crowd wasn't really feeling him. And it's probably something that you would say if you were to perform all India radio. And he just went to the microphone and was just like, "Suck my dick," and he went right into the riff.
I couldn't say that.
So it's just really funny like that, man. And I think I saw him on Ash Wednesday, and I had the ash as like a cross,
Oh,
like that. And he made
yeah.
a comment about that, which was funny. But you worked with Devin Townsend on your latest record, Afterworld.
Mm,
And Devin, he posted something about you during the quarantine. How it was something like, "Oh, you got to check this band out, All India Radio. Really, really good stuff." And for him to give you a shout out, I was really like, "Wow, that's great." And then just a few months later, he's on your record. How did that come about?
Well, it sort of all came out of the blue, really. I first heard of him a couple of years ago when a few of my ambient songs appeared on a Devin Townsend playlist on Spotify. And I didn't know who he was, but it was seemed to be a popular playlist. I don't know whether he compiled it or whether it was a Devin fan playlist. But anyway, a year went past, and then I get this message out of the blue saying, "Hi, it's Devin Townsend here. Really love your album, The Slow Light.
Yes.
I've created." What do you say? It's not a cover; it's a recreation of one of the songs. Is that okay with you? And of course, I said, "Yeah, what an honor." Someone likes your song enough that they want to do a cover or a recreation of it. So I said yes, and then it appeared on YouTube a few weeks later, and yeah, I really liked it actually. And of course, Devin was really completely new to me, so I began to explore his music, and he covers everything from ambient music to experimental to metal and prog rock. So yeah, it was fantastic. I was really honored that my song meant enough to him for him to want to do that. And then probably later, 8 months later, I wanted to ask him if he'd play a little bit of guitar on one of my songs, but I was a little bit kind of scared to ask because he's pretty popular. It's obvious that he's super busy, but I thought, what the hell? I'll send him a message anyway, and he came back and said, yeah, he'd love to. So, and then a few weeks later, I sent him the track, and then a few weeks later, he sent back guitar, vocals, keyboards, acoustic guitar, all of it beautifully produced. And all I asked, I didn't want to impose on him. All I wanted was a little bit of solo guitar work, and he just sends me back this incredible production, which I was just blown away. It was such a nice thing to do, and so that appeared on one of the songs on the new album. So yeah, there you go.
That is awesome. And that song is called Sula Guin.
Yeah.
Am I saying that correctly?
Yeah, that's correct enough. I'm not quite sure how to say it myself. It's a play on the sci-fi writer Ursula Le Guin. I'm really bad at song titles, so I just write down a whole lot of stuff that I like and then try to make titles out of that. So yeah, it's a play on a sci-fi writer's name. It means nothing.
Sula Guin. The way you kind of describe that, and you bring up space too. I actually just saw a movie for the first time that's so overdue. I have not seen it yet until a few days ago. It was 2001, A Space Odyssey. Have you ever seen that movie before?
That's my favorite all-time movie.
Really?
Yeah. My mother took me. Mum took me to see that in probably the early 70s, before Star Wars. It might have been about 75 or 76. I have no idea why she decided to take, a 8 or 7 year old child to see that, because it's a pretty, people would think it's a really boring, slow, introspective sort of film, but I loved it. I thought, what is this thing?
Yeah.
Especially the last half an hour.
Oh my God.
I was blown away, and I really appreciated my mother taking me to see that strange space film. Yeah, so I've loved it ever since then.
Oh,
I can
spoiler.
only go, and if it's playing at the cinema, I can only really go by myself. I can't take anyone else along because they'll just fall asleep. So I just enjoy it myself.
That you are so right with that last half hour of the movie, man. I mean, I was watching it. I was finishing watching it. And my girlfriend Ashlyn was right there, and the baby comes out
Yeah.
of the sky and space, and then spacing Earth. And I'm going through my mind. Okay, I love Stanley Kubrick. I don't think I've seen a movie more than The Shining, probably The Matrix. Um, but dude, I was like, what the hell's going on here? And I look forward to watch it again and again. That's the beauty of it, you know. So
Yeah.
Star Wars, though, you bring up Star Wars. You have a go-to original trilogy episode? You like Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi?
Well, yeah, I like all of them. Probably Star Wars is the emotional favorite because I saw that in '77 when it first came out as a kid.
Wow.
And, that was just absolutely mind-blowing, of course. And then Empire Strikes Back, I love that too. And I was still young enough for it to really have an emotional impact on me. So that was 1980, and I think I was 15 in '80. By the time Jedi came around, I was 18. So I was starting to, I was getting older and interested in other things, but I still loved it. But Star Wars and Empire are my two all-time favorites. Yeah. And the later trilogy, just didn't do it for me, really.
Right. Yeah, I agree. And the prequel trilogy, did that do anything for you? With
Not
Anakin?
really, no. I saw them all, of course, but just, they were just so emotionally flat. It just didn't. I can understand, though, that young kids seeing those, well, they might have the same impact that the original Star Wars had on me. So, that's fair enough. But no, they didn't work for me.
The original from 1977, A New Hope. That personally is my favorite, one of my all-time favorite films. Is there a moment in that film that stands out to you that, every single time you watch it, it's,
Yeah, that first scene where the spaceship comes overhead.
Oh, in the beginning?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Can't beat that.
Yeah.
That was just mind-blowing for a kid to see that.
Beautiful
And
shot.
the rumbling in the speakers in the cinema. Wow. Yeah.
Oh, just Vader. I've got a little
Oh,
Vader
yeah.
mural over there, man. Favorite. I'm a villain guy. I love villains, and Vader's number one, and then there's Michael Myers and Han from Enter the Dragon. Have you ever seen Enter the Dragon with Bruce?
No, I haven't. No.
No? Okay. 1973, amazing film. Just a beautiful film. Well, all right. Going back to music here, Martin. And again, we have Martin Kennedy here from All India Radio checking in from Hobart, Tasmania, a place I'd love to visit someday. Music-wise, what's the greatest concert you have ever attended?
Well, it's a concert, but it's not a concert. I'll explain. It's Pink Floyd live at Pompeii. It was a movie, and it was shown in cinemas in the early '70s. And my older brother took me to see it, and it might have been '78 or '79. You've disappeared again, Kevin. Oh no, there you are.
Hello.
So it was a live concert that we watched in a cinema with big speakers, and it was a blast. It was incredible. By that stage, I was aware of Pink Floyd and knew their music, and it was just an amazing experience. And it was a double feature, and the other film was Neil Young, Live Rust, which was also mind-blowing.
Never saw that one, actually. Okay.
It's good, really good. So that's kind of my favorite concert. And then years later, in the late '80s, I actually saw Pink Floyd in their '80s phase, and that was, of course, mind-blowing as well.
Wow.
I saw them a couple of times, actually. And another wonderful band to see live in Australia was Midnight Oil. They were just mind-blowing, incendiary live.
Midnight Oil.
Yeah,
I'm not familiar.
kind of hard to describe their music.
Yeah.
Sort of started off punk rocky, sort of almost prog music, but no, not really prog actually. Just have a listen. I can't describe it. Yeah,
I'll check them out. And I'm really glad you brought up Pompeii with Pink Floyd, man, because I completely forgot to bring that up to you. That is spectacular. And you saw it in theaters. Wow. I think, you know, one of my all-time favorite things to do with my brothers, Leonard and Ryan, is just to crank a, you know, DVD or a Blu-ray or concerts and, you know, check back some beers. And we always finish with Pompeii. And the performance of Echoes, in particular, the performance of Saucerful of Secrets, where David Gilmour vocalizes that outro.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He didn't do that on the record, but then he did that in Ummagumma Live and then the Pompeii. David Gilmour actually returned to that very spot in Pompeii recently and released a Blu-ray of that performance and CD. Did you know this?
That's right. Okay. I have seen that. Yeah, that's cool. Really good too. But he didn't play Echoes because he always said that he wouldn't play that, or because the keyboard player Richard Wright had died, you know, a number of years ago. He said he'd never play that again once, you know, because Richard's gone. So that was kind of disappointing. But yeah, that was a great concert. But nothing beats that earlier concert, which is, it was just pretty special, and a live show without an audience too. Just made it. I don't know. It just seemed to really work.
Yeah, it was perfect. It's one of the greatest captured concerts ever. I'll include a link to the performance below. Stunning. So besides music, Martin, what are some of your other hobbies that you enjoy doing?
I like sci-fi, of course, as you might have guessed. So I actually have a couple of sci-fi blogs that I've been doing for years. I've got a Tumblr blog and an Instagram and a Twitter. And they're so much more popular than my own music social media. So I've got a huge sci-fi book collection, which you can't really see. Some of it's there, but it's also every hidden corner in this room is full of sci-fi books. Art books.
That's your Afterworld keep. That's all from Afterworld. That's your Afterworld clutter. You know,
that's right. Yeah. I go through old books and old magazines, old heavy metal magazines, and sci-fi magazines, and scan photos and talk about them on the internet, really, and that's loads of fun. And I've been doing that for about 10 years now.
Wow. I'll include a link below to the blog. What's the blog called? Where can we find that, Martin?
It's Tumblr. Oh, look, I'm not sure the URL, but on Instagram, it's at sci-fi _art, I think.
Gotcha.
Maybe I'll send you the link later.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Is there a book or magazine that stands out sci-fi wise that we got to check out?
There used to be a magazine called Starlog, and that started in 1975 and ended in the early 2000s. It was just full of sci-fi movies and books and TV series. And I collected a lot of them. Oh, I've still got them. So it was called Starlog, and it was
Starlog.
That was what you looked at before the internet, sci-fi magazines and things like that. Right.
Well, that's good. I enjoy reading too. And you know, just to let you know, my license plate's actually Repel. Metallica, my all-time favorite band. See them 38 times around the world. You know, we're the twins up front. But I got to meet Jason Newsted, their former bassist, over there in Mill Valley, California, on one of his solo shows in 2016. And I asked him what, and I was, struggling at the time a little bit. So I asked him, hey, after the show, what's your key to happiness? And he said, repel. And he went letter by letter: read, eat, play, exercise, laugh, love.
Right.
I think reading is so important.
Mm,
So it's good to kind of escape into another world.
It is, and it is my escape too, really, to get away from music and day-to-day life.
Right. Metallica though, you like Metallica? You ever see Metallica live before?
I used to work at a record company, a record distributor in the 90s, and when that Black Album came out, they sort of just exploded into everyone's, it was like Nirvana. They'd been around for years beforehand, but now all of a sudden they were super popular. So yeah, I really loved that album, and I got the T-shirt and everything, and got the album. So it's mainly that album. But yeah, I do like them. But some of their latest stuff was just hard to listen to. One album was just so loud. And
Saint Anger, Death Magnetic.
I'm not sure. I can't remember, but it was really controversial. The so-called mastering wars, that it was so loud. It
Death Magnetic, 2008.
Okay. Yeah.
It just,
it was just too much. But anyway, I do like them.
Awesome, man. It's good to hear. And Black Album, that's special. That's my number one record all time. And it was so much so that so much so I named this podcast over a line, I ask no one from wherever I may roam.
Okay.
And, I bashed the shit out of that song over there. I love it. Sad but true, But again, we have Martin Kennedy here with All India Radio, checking in from Hobart, Tasmania. So kind of you to do this. You bring up Nirvana. Nirvana, that record also turns 30 years old this year, 2021, just like Metallica's Black Album. And actually today, May 2nd, 91, they began recording Nevermind. Nirvana did.
Wow.
And their budget for that record was $65,000. Only $65K compared to the Bleach, which was like $600, their first record. So shout out to the boys in Nirvana. But if there's I want to bring them up to you too. Gojira. Have you ever heard of Gojira before?
I've definitely heard of them, but I don't know whether I've actually heard them.
Okay.
So are they metal or?
They are metal. They're metal.
They're a super group, aren't they? Lots of different members of other bands. Is that right? Or
nope. Gojira are just four of the same guys since the 90s, actually. Okay. And they've just been creeping up, ever since then. And they're based out of southern France, and they're my pals. And, we're the twins again up front at that Gojira show. Right. They just released a new record called Fortitude. But the band, they're very pro-earth. Their earlier content was really death metal, like craziness, but they really introduced a lot of different sounds, man. And just but there's some music that I'm going to share. I'm going to email you, my man. I'm going to email you some Gojira stuff that I really think you would like off this new record. And it's benefiting the Amazonian rainforest, and they're talking about the Tibetans and so on. So stay tuned for that. But if you were to introduce All India Radio to a complete newbie, which record or which batch of songs would you recommend they listen to?
I'd probably say my album from about 5 years ago, The Slow Light. It's the one that Devin Townsend picked up on. And I think, I just think that everything went right with that album. Strangely enough, I was in a bad place, but the music, everything fell into place with that album. So that's probably the one I'd recommend. And and then next would be a self-titled album from 15 years ago, which was kind of different. But The Slow Light, I would say go with that.
It's a beautiful record, straight up.
Thank you.
I think when Devin gave that a shout out, I must say I haven't listened to it. There's a bunch of records, man, I haven't discovered yet, and I look forward to, dive in a little bit more. But Slow Light, that's always going to remind me of quarantine. Just
Yeah, yeah,
being inside and
yeah.
I'm gonna just fix this camera here. What the hell's going on, dude? So weird. Weird. There we go. Okay. Yeah.
So everyone has a favorite time and place album. So for me, the Slow Light was a bad place personally, but I really, really like the music of it. So yeah.
Isn't that great how music, I think it's the closest thing to time travel.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really bring you back.
And that's why they have such thing as music therapy in old people's homes and nursing homes where Alzheimer's patients, they'll go in there and they'll play the music, and that will bring these people back to life and bring up memories that they've probably completely forgotten about. Music is incredible like that.
Would you be so kind to play just a little strum of a LoFi Groovy for us?
Oh, wow. Let's see if I can remember this damn song. So I'm not a very confident player. It's just two chords the whole way through, really. It's just the E minor. Da, 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 da. That's it.
Yeah. Are we going to see you perform at all this year? What are planned for 2021, Martin?
We've got one show in Melbourne later this year. Of course, it was supposed to be last year, but that was put off because of COVID. So everything's still a little bit unsure here. It looks like we've beaten the virus, but everyone's still on edge. So there's a show. I really am a reluctant performer. I don't have much confidence on stage. So I try to avoid it when I can. And I'm going to try to do some live streaming. I did do a bit of that last year, but I should do some more.
Yeah, we'll keep a lookout for that. And if you ever venture to the Northeast of America, Buffalo, New York will treat you very, very well, my man. I'd love to take you around. It's one of the most underrated food towns in the country too, Buffalo.
Okay.
And it's the city of good neighbors. That's the slogan for Buffalo, New York.
Okay, that sounds nice.
Yeah,
the city of good neighbors.
Yeah, I tell you, man, I've lived on both coasts. I went to school at Flagler College, St. Augustine, Florida, the nation's oldest city, and then a lot of Spanish American War type stuff down there. And then I went out to California, and ever since California, All India Radio has been with me ever since, and it's going to be with me, forever. And thank you for your creations, and thank you for your composition.
Well, thank you. It's so nice to hear that. Thanks for those kind words. Appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Thank you again. And I just have to acknowledge something too right now. So, kind of a pinch me moment, sitting down with you in my house, what the hell? But that light behind you, right? So you've had such a good, positive impact on me. It's kind of it's kind of divine, man. It's kind of like God.
I didn't mean it to be, but
dude, I mean, you're like there, and you got this yellow light behind you, and wow, what could I say?
I felt I had to add that because the room is such a mess that I just needed something there. So
yeah, it's
my halo.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you quote this a lot in your songs, eyes ahead, don't turn around. And I wish you all the very best in 2021, man. And thank you so much for joining again.
Thank you a lot. Thanks a lot, Kevin. Appreciate it.
And next week we have Frankie Blydenberg joining me. He is the CEO of a website called Rockabilia. And if you've liked any of, to my viewers here, if you like what you've seen. Hit a like, subscribe, really appreciate it. Going into my second year of I Ask No One. Thank you so much for joining, and stay happy, stay healthy, stay hungry, and stay happy. We'll see you, Martin.
Thanks, Kevin.
All right. God
See you
bless.
later.
All right. Bye.